Hey, you guys, if you're out there, we're figuring out this whole thing. We're using a new software um, to live stream to Facebook, and it's going to allow us to do some cool things like throw graphics up and throw some pictures up here. And we got to figure out if it's working or not. Hey, there we are. It's there. Yay, so you're really there. Okay, so while I'm waiting for people to kind of come hang out, tell me you're here. Hello. I'm going to share this. So you guys are sitting here watching me figure this out for the first time. But I think that this is going to be super cool for us to do in the future. Okay, so I just shared it to the group. Now I want to share it. Can I share? Copy link. I can share it to my personal page that way, I think. So let's find out. This is Jill learning live. Paste and post. And look, there I am again. I'm still live. Do you suppose anybody's here? Are any of you guys there? Oh, I see there's 33 of you out there now. Yay! Crystal's here. Hi, Crystal. Claudia from Canada. Yay. Okay, see, I need to know that you guys are here because, like I said, this is brand new software for me. So, Yanette is here. Yay. Kathy. So we're going to test out this whole new software thing. It's going to allow us to do multiple camera angles on Facebook Live, which is so cool. I have to turn the sound off on this because now Brian's off camera laughing at me here. That's not fair. But it's going to let us do multiple camera angles, and I'm going to be able to kind of bring in photos on the screen and stuff like that. So you're going to have to bear with us if there's a little bit of technical glitches as we go along. But I think it's going to be a really cool thing because guess what? We are going to be doing so many Facebook Lives. You know, now I have the new studio, and so I have to make good use of it. And I've also got so much content. We've got Crystal Wick, who's going to come work for us, and she's going to be here in about, let's see, what is it? The end of May. So she's here in about like 6 or 7 weeks. She's going to be finally here in Austin. Finally, because it's been like, 2 weeks since we actually made that decision. And so there's going to be so much more content that's coming your way. So there'll be more YouTube videos, Facebook Lives every week. It's going to take us a while to kind of get up to that amount. But just so you know, it's all coming. And so we're working out some kinks along the way. And wow, look at you guys. Yay. Oh, Crystal likes my shirt. Yeah, let me have Brian show you the studio. So this will be your first. Did you switch the camera?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you see it?
I guess on my iPad here, I'm getting a really delayed.
Yeah, I would just. That makes sense.
So yeah, Brian spent days putting up all of these soundproofing foam things. And we're going to have 2 sets in here, which is very cool. And so there's still improvements that we're going to be making here in the new studio, but it is so good to have this space that we built dedicated for video, you know, and of course I can't just have this film studio sitting here and not use it, which is kind of what I did in the old place. So now I've got even more of an investment in it, and so we're going to be using it tons and tons. And I'm really excited about how this whole software thing is working. Hi guys, we've got people from all over, Minnesota and Georgia and Atlanta and New Hampshire and Ontario and Iowa and Lubbock and all over the place. I see a bunch of people in the feed who have been on tours with Jon and me. So Jon over here is kind of my bead guru. He's taught me so much about beads, and he's who I've gone on group trips. We've planned group trips in the past to go to the Czech Republic. We've been there twice with groups of you bead ladies out there, and also to China. So we went to Hong Kong and to Guangzhou, China. So that was a really special tour too. So we definitely plan to do more of those in the future when we're able to travel more safely, you know. So stay tuned for that kind of information because it's really, really fun. So let me kind of just, we've got Sweden here. All right. Andrea and Sarah in Sweden, and oh my gosh, all of you, you have no idea. I love seeing all your names here because I feel like you guys are friends. You know, you comment on all of the stuff in the groups and on my page and stuff, and so seeing your names pop up is really just like seeing my friends show up for, I don't know, a bead chat. So already somebody's asking. I told you that somebody was going to ask when the next tour is. We don't know yet. We are hoping, fingers crossed, that enough people get vaccinated and borders open and stuff that we can do it in the spring of 2022. Our fallback is fall of 2022, but we don't have any of the arrangements made yet. We're not ready to like start taking registrations or anything. We did actually end up having to cancel a tour last October, right as, you know, all the borders were shutting down and stuff. So that wasn't last October. That was October before. Yeah, that was last October. Yeah, okay. And so those people who had already signed up for that trip, they're going to get first dibs on signing up for the new trip. Just, it's fair, you know. So we don't know yet when the next one will be. So you'll have to keep watching the videos, right? Okay, so let me tell you about this guy. So Jon he's been in the bead world forever. He is going to tell you the story about how he started beading when he was literally a little kid. And
12 years old.
12 years old, yeah. So, you know, he's got way more experience than I do, and he's 10 years younger than me. And he has been importing beads from the Czech Republic and from all over, but he's spent a lot of time in the Czech Republic, and he has a serious appreciation for the history of beads. And that's one of the things I'm trying to draw out of him is all of this bead knowledge that he has. And so we thought that we would educate you guys on beads like as I'm getting educated too. So he brought some show and tell for us today, and he's going to kind of tell a little bit about his history. I also, before we even go there, I just want to kind of give you an idea that he brought something very special for us. He created a custom bead mix. This is all beads from the Czech Republic. I told him what colors were my favorites, the blues, greens, and purples, so he created this mix just for us. And we have, this is a half-pound bag of Czech beads. Y'all, $15.99. I mean, you're just not even going to believe how much jewelry you're going to be able to get made out of this. So we're going to kind of go over that a little bit more later. There will be a link down in the comments below. Crystal has kindly offered to pop the link up to the spot on our website, jillwisemandesigns.com, where you can buy that special bead mix, because we have 100 of them, and that's it. So once they're gone, they're gone. This mix is never going to get made and repeated again. As a matter of fact, evidently he had a little bit more of it, and he's already thrown more things in it to make a different mix. So it's not even possible to make this mix again. Thanks a lot.
It's limited edition Jill Wiseman.
Okay, so
curated mix.
One sold. Okay, so Jon, tell the story of how you got involved in beads, because I think it's really funny and fascinating.
So when I was about 12 years old, my family and I were out in the Southwest touring around the Indian reservations, and my mom kept buying jewelry. And
as one does.
Most women do, they buy lots of jewelry. And I kept asking her why she was buying so much, and we were at a bead store in, I believe, Albuquerque. And I kept giving her a hard time, and she took me into the bead store and bought me $200 worth of beads, a little brown paper lunch sack.
So this was kind of like put up or shut up?
Yep. And she told me, you need to make me a necklace. So I made her a necklace, and I made my grandma one, I made my aunt one, and at that point, just the color, the art, and just the creativity that came with making jewelry, just kind of, I needed to make more. He
became an addict just like the rest of us, in other words. And honestly, you know how I say that I'm a bead addict? He's got me so beat.
So yeah, I first started importing beads from Bulgaria and India when I was in high school. and started doing all the bead shows.
So what were you guys doing in high school? I was like watching TV, MTV in the middle of the night, right? He's importing beads from Bulgaria. What the heck?
Yeah. So started making jewelry on a bigger scale and landed 3 of the Nordstrom department stores in the Chicagoland area.
While you're in high school.
While I'm in high school. And then I had a bead store, I believe it was my freshman year of college.
Because of course you did.
That lasted for about 9 months, and I realized you can't go to college and run a shop at the same time. Junior year of college was my first trip to the Czech Republic. So that would have been 1998.
So that was after the Velvet Revolution.
Yeah, the Velvet Revolution was 1989, I believe.
Yeah, so.
And that trip, you know, I was hooked. I loved Prague. It was an amazingly beautiful city.
You really, if you go to the Czech Republic with us, you are going to fall in love instantly. I mean, I have traveled other places in the world, but really the Czech Republic is the only place that I can imagine myself actually moving to and living there. And I don't know what it is. It's just the vibe of the place. You've got the really old, but it's still, because it's no longer communist, it's also very modern too. And so it's this cool juxtaposition. And then, of course, hello, bead world. So, yeah. Yeah,
the bead region is about an hour and a half north of Prague. It's called Jablonec nad Nisou, and it is probably, I mean, it's alpinist, it's beautiful, it's a smaller town, there's all these small towns, rivers. It's just a great place to see all of these cottage industries producing these beads.
And he's not kidding when he says cottage industries. One of my most memorable things on one of the tours was, at one point, Jon said, so I've got some of these guys that I do some business with, and they have some extra product that you might be interested in, and do you want to go take a look at it? And I'm like, absolutely, let me go do that. And so I had the guide with us, our interpreter with us, and we're trying to find it, and we can't really find where this guy is. And so he comes to the corner and finds us, and, you know, waves us down. And we're going like practically through people's backyards and stuff, and over a little scenic little babbling brook bridge and stuff, literally to the guy's garage. And that's where he's making and selling these beads, is in his garage. So I literally made a bead deal in a back alley in the Czech Republic.
Yeah, he bought one of the pressing machines and a tumbler, so he can basically only make the pressed beads, which we'll explain a little bit more about them in a few minutes. But at this point, I think move on to the selection of raw material.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah. So what we're kind of planning to do is, one of the cool things is that Jon's knowledge runs so deep that we're going to kind of give an overview today of how beads are made and stuff, and then we're going to do more videos with Jon, and he's going to kind of take us more in depth into various pieces that we're going to kind of touch on today. So I'm really excited about this because honestly, I'm learning alongside you guys. When he showed me some of these samples that he brought with him on this trip, I was like, this was news to me, you know, seeing all this. So I'm learning right alongside you.
So the original glass rod making company is called Ornella. A few years ago, Preciosa, the giant crystal company, bought them out to gain control of the seed beads and all the raw material.
Aha, I did not know that.
So when you're making glass beads, you're going to buy these glass rods, which will be about 3 meters in length. So you'll buy about 40 kilograms worth of the same exact glass rod, and the color of the rod is not necessarily the color the bead is going to come out once it's done being pressed.
Like, this is really gorgeous. I love the color in here because it's like a bronze sparkle in here.
This is actually called goldstone filigrana, and it's a glass that I don't believe they've made it in the last 10 years.
Really?
So I think I probably got this sample back in like 2006, 2007.
That's what Jon has, these things just hanging around his warehouse, and they're historical artifacts at this point because the bead industry is just changing so much. So I just love that. Just want to sell it?
So when you go into the Ornella's stock room, all of the glass rods are in these big buildings next to this small little room that basically has over 2,000 different samples of glass. The glass is all in these little cardboard pick bins with the numbers, and the number of the glass basically is a 5-digit code, corresponds to the basic color. So this is going to be sort of a milky white. This is going to be a glow-in-the-dark white. And then they'll have another number that tells which pick bin these actual rods are in. And then they'll have another number on the little packet. This means they have 164 kilograms of the raw material for that particular color. So when I go over on the buying trips, my first meeting is at Ornella to pick out whatever samples of glass I'm going to want to use for that particular trip. So sometimes I'll focus on like opaques or opal colors, which I'll show you more in a minute. Other times it's transparents and coatings, which we'll explain that in a second as well.
So he is not just going over there and buying pre-made stock. Let me just, I want to make that clear, because that's one of the things that, when I first met Jon, I'm like, okay, so he imports beads from the Czech Republic. Gotcha. He goes over there and he takes it off a shelf and then he gets it, No, he is picking this color with this, coating in this size and in this shape. I mean, he's literally having them physically make an order to his custom designs, which I think is very cool because there's not a lot of people who get to do that.
Nope. And I've been doing it for over 20 years, so...
you see why I wanted to be friends with him?
So the glass in the Czech Republic comes in 7 basic categories. There's crystalline jet, which is the first, and chalk white. That's the least expensive glass. Then you go through all of the transparents, which are these, and you end up with red and fuchsia, which are the most expensive. The fuchsia is extremely expensive because it's made with gold. So they have a 5-digit numbering system, as I explained before. So if it starts with a 1, you know it's going to be a topaz or a brown. If it starts with a 2, you know it's going to be an amethyst or a purple. A 6 is going to be an aqua to a dark aqua. So they have a very, very, very specific numbering system to keep track of these thousands of colors.
And I'm so embarrassed because I've been dealing with these numbers for a couple of years now, and I did not know that.
It's like a Dewey Decimal System for beads.
That's exactly what it is.
So if you've been to the library in the last 20 years. So once you leave the transparent colors, you're going to go to the opals, which are here.
I love opals.
Opaques, and then the two-tones. The opalescent glass lets a little bit of light through so that it gives you that sort of shimmery effect. The opaque glass is so dark, there's no light gets through it. And then the two tones, you're either going to have them be opaque or transparent. Some of them will have up to 2 or 3 different colors. Others, it's going to be very subtle, like aqua to the peridot, or this one's going to be very, very, very blue, red, green, and crystal. So the contrast is quite
pretty strong there, yeah. We actually had a question, just for a second to go back to the glass rods. Is that the same kind of glass that lamp workers use?
Lamp workers are going to use glass made by the same factory, but the rods come in a lot thinner.
Smaller.
These rods are going to weigh 8 to 10 kilograms, whereas the lamp work rods maybe 300 grams. Mm-hmm. So the lamp workers rods, it's made by the same company, but there's a huge difference.
Gotcha. Cool. So far, that's the only one that I've seen.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep track here.
So once you've picked the colors of the glass, you're going to pick the finishes or the surface coatings. There's 3 basic types of finishes. One is a vacuum coat, which typically is going to be just a half coat. That's going to include like your AB, your half copper, your vitral, your maria. A luster coat is going to coat the full bead, and that's going to be like the green luster, the purple luster, the brown luster.
Question. So on the vacuum coated ones, is like that then a full coat?
Full coat silver is going to be 27000. If it's going to be half coat silver, where they only coat half the bead, it's 27001.
Gotcha.
So you need to tell the coating factory, I want a half coat or a full coat based on that number.
Gotcha. Cool.
And then the lusters. These lusters you can do over opaques or transparents, and they're going to have a completely different look. In one of the next videos, we'll show you the lusters over the opaque and the contrast to the transparents, because that's a whole nother discussion on what makes that difference. But then these are the irises. And the iris finish is one of the most popular finishes for seed bead weaving, stringing, and they'll do them either shiny or matte, but there's basically a red iris, a blue iris, a green iris, bronze iris, and purple iris.
And you don't see red iris very often at all.
No.
I've seen, like, the blue, green, and purple are the ones that I see most often. Well, and brown
Well,
iris,
I
too.
think the issue with the irises is Preciosa really raised the minimum quantity of beads that they were willing to coat with the irises about 3 or 4 years ago, and that's why you've seen
Dwindling stock.
so many of the retailers are out of stock, along with a lot of the wholesalers there
Yeah.
too.
Well, and one of the benefits of being a friend of Jon is sometimes you get to go in together, and guess what we have coming is a whole assortment of the iris colors. What is our timeline on that? A couple
90
months?
days.
90 days. Okay, so so we're going to actually have the new stock of those colors, because seriously, we were out of blue iris for, I'm going to say, at least a year, maybe 2 years.
I was out of it for about a year and a half.
Yeah. So I'm super excited to see those colors coming back. Somebody asked, first of all, somebody asked where your jewelry was.
My jewelry?
Yes.
I've got a watch, but it's at home in Chicago.
We're going to have to get him to start wearing some man jewelry periodically.
No, thank you.
No.
I'm happy to make it. I mean, I enjoyed making this jewelry this morning with our curated
with our
mix.
mix. So, as a matter of fact, now it was not intentional. We kind of had a design off this morning. So we sat with the mix at the same table, and we were using one pot of the mix, and including the earrings that I'm wearing now, and I'll take these off and put these here. We made all of these pieces of jewelry in about, we probably worked for about an hour making these. Yeah. And so so first of all, we should have you guys guess who made which ones. So I think that's going to be the first thing we want you to guess. And then the next thing we want you to tell us is which one you like best. Because interestingly enough, I liked the ones that he made best. So
that's because I've got a better sense of color.
It's because he thinks that I'm slightly purple obsessed. Now look, what colors am I wearing?
Color of the mix.
Well, and it's also the colors of Jill Wiseman Designs.
That's true.
So that's the thing. So here's the thing. We made all of these pieces of jewelry, right? So it's 4 bracelets and 2 pairs of earrings. This is what was left in the mix after we had already made all of these pieces of jewelry, which just goes to show how much a half pound of these check glass beads can go. So when we were doing this, we made sure most of these, we were mixing multiple colors together. On some of them, we just used blue and green. Some of it, we did this one with, notice how I'm very carefully saying we.
Yeah.
We did this one with the only purple, so that, you can pull those things out if you want. But look at how good they go together in mixes. I mean, look, how fun are those funky earrings? I love those, spiky. And so they also double as a personal safety device. So if you need to, you can stab somebody with it.
Well, and we used both gold and silver.
Gold and
the mix is very complementary to both colors
and
of wire.
one of the vintage buttons that you have too.
Yep.
Which button did we pick?
The frogs.
The frogs. This is a very quirky button. I love it.
That one's from the late 90s.
Yeah. So one of the things that Jon does, in addition to all of this incredible bead making, producing kind of stuff, is he gets the opportunity to buy stock from people who are going out of business. So tell me about the buttons.
So there was a company in Washington State that about 2 years ago called me up and said they were getting ready to close. They had a huge fabric store, and there was about 2 million buttons left in her inventory.
2 with 6 zeros behind it.
It was 7 pallets full of buttons, of which I probably only unpacked about 30% so far.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yep.
So actually we have also worked a deal on buttons, and so he's going to be shipping a bunch of buttons to us pretty soon. So you're going to be seeing me carrying a lot more of these super cool vintage buttons. And so, like I said, some of them are super quirky. Like this is, it's a
Frogs dancing around a wheel.
Is it a wheelbarrow?
A wheelbarrow.
Wheelbarrow. Yeah, frogs dancing around a wheelbarrow.
There was an accordion button.
Yes.
There was dog buttons.
And then there's just like the really beautiful buttons too, that are a little more
Crystal AB,
traditional.
a lot of Jet AB.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff with lusters, blue iris.
And what's so cool about it is they're historical. It's stuff that's not being produced in that same way. There are still old molds out there, and so there are certainly modern production buttons being made with old molds.
Yeah.
But these are the actual old buttons. So there's probably glasses and techniques and stuff that they used back then.
Back 50, 60, 70 years ago, there was probably 6,000, 7,000 colors. Now I believe it's less than 3,000.
Really?
So, and just as, the makers of the raw material get older,
yeah,
they lose the formula doesn't work, they can't get that chemical or that color dye.
It's up here and they die with it. So yeah.
That's one of the reasons you see so many more beads are being coated now in like those pink and those real vibrant colors, because they can't get that color of glass anymore.
I did not know that.
So.
See, you hear me keep saying that, right? I'll try to stop saying that, but that's why hanging out with this guy is such an education, because not only has he seen the last 20 years of changes in the Czech Republic and other places, but then he also has talked to the people who have worked in the industry far longer. It's really fascinating, and it's kind of sad because the glass industry in the Czech Republic is kind of in trouble.
Well, they're struggling right now. I mean, just with the world economy and orders being down, and if we've gone from 4,800 retail bead stores to 800. Yeah. That's a lot less beads being purchased.
Yeah, so. Exactly. And then I think you also have a whole generation of them that are dying out now.
Yep.
I was thinking about that as you were talking about, the people with the buttons, that was, a specialty that they had, and they're ready to retire. And then what do they do with that? You know?
I mean, most of the button makers are now in their 60s.
Yeah.
So
see, and you're not seeing kind of a new generation come in and take the interest.
The kids rather work in the auto industry. They rather work in a restaurant. They rather work at something that's not, because pressing the glass beads, you're dealing with fire and gas, and the workrooms are not. I mean,
there's no OSHA in
they're dusty, and you're dealing with 200, 300 degree heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, do I want to stand next to that all day for 8 hours?
No.
Not really.
No.
So.
It's super fascinating to visit. It's scary to think about working there, frankly. But one of the things that opened my eyes is that it's, at least the people that we have been able to go and visit and see the production being done, it's really old-fashioned techniques. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of change in technology.
No.
There's does Preciosa, I assume, has more.
I mean, they have hand press machines still. They have machines that are automatic. A lot of the bigger beads can only be made on the hand pressed machines because, the glass goes through the automatic machines too fast. The hand press, the person making the bead, he can judge the heat. He can judge the flow of how fast he's pushing that 9-foot glass.
So there's
rod.
literally an art to it.
Yes. Yep.
Gotcha.
And I mean, that's why when you look at these mixes, you're going to see a nice variety of both the pressed and the cut beads. So we've got stuff that's, the fire polish sort of mixed in. I've got stuff that's got 2 and 3 colors of glass, stuff that has opaques. And, I tried to, on this, tried to make it very spring, summerish. But then just threw a little bit of the cobalt in.
I like
to give
that pop.
Just a little bit of contrast.
Yeah.
So that when you're looking in the bag, there's more than just the muted spring colors.
Yeah. So I think that really shows up in this particular bracelet, where it would be very beautiful without it, but the blue is what catches your eye first. That bright cobalt.
It's a very powerful cobalt blue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's very pure kind of color. So that's.
And that's what kind of, on the earrings, I was going for something, if you've ever been to Prague and you've been to Charles Castle.
Yes, I have.
You go through the castle, you go through the courtyard, and then you out in the vineyard. You walk down the vineyard, you probably have a glass of wine or two, and then you head on down to the Royal Gardens, and they have the most beautiful peacocks white and blue. And this
Michelle
was my...
Sapansky.
Yeah. Hey, Michelle. This was my rendition of a peacock feather.
I like that.
So,
I like that a lot.
And it's inspired with the Czech beads in Prague.
That's that's very cool. Yeah, I mean, once you've been to Prague and then to the whole bead region, you never forget it. It's such a special thing. And if I can't take you all to the Czech Republic with me, at least I can explain to you a little bit more what it's like. I wanted to show you guys. Okay, so here's the thing. So far, somebody says that I made the purple one. I don't know why they think that.
That's true.
I did. I made the purple one. Let's see. What else let's see. Crystal Wick loves the earrings. Let's see here. What else are they saying? People are very excited over the buttons. And here's somebody who likes the amethyst bracelet the most. Really, you guys are not voting on which of those pieces of jewelry you like best. I'll tell you which ones I like best in a minute. Mom is very smart. She says, loaded question, I can't answer. But we also got a lot of people who are super excited about the blue iris coming back.
Oh, good.
So
Good.
I'm really pleased with that myself. Let's see here. Yeah, the wires on the blue-green earrings. Yeah, love those too. So yeah, we had a lot of fun actually making these, and we used different techniques too. Okay, I'll fess up. I'll give you the lowdown on who made what. Yes, I made the purple one. I also made this one. So here I wanted to use the button as a clasp. So on this one I used seed beads to make a loop for the button, because why not? And then I just interspersed some seed beads in between each one of these beads. And one of the things about these mixes is you're not guaranteed to have... Each one is going to be a little bit different.
Yep.
Because
we basically mixed all 50 pounds in one huge Sterilite tub and then packed them into...
Do you have a special mixing stick?
No, we basically pick the 50 pounds up and dump it into the next one.
Okay, well, I think we should have a witch hat, like you're boiling a cauldron, anyway. So I did, when I did this one, yes, this is mine also. I did this one on stretchy cord. This one, every single bead in this particular bracelet is different. So this is 100% different, unique beads from that mix. This one, I created a couple little zones where I did some repeats. So here's a little repeat right here. Here's another repeat. So whether you're a symmetrical person or you're an asymmetrical person, you're going to have beads in there that work for both, which I think is really cool. And you don't necessarily have to put one of the top drilled beads in, or one of the spike beads, or here's a leaf here and there's a dagger here. I think it's fun to kind of have that extra little...
Yeah, it makes it a little more abstract.
Yeah, but I know that that's not going to be for everybody. Yeah. So if you don't want to put that in a bracelet or a necklace, then that's a great... Well, actually, it would be a great dangle on a necklace. And it's certainly a great dangle on an earring. So I actually didn't use those on my dangles here. I just used 3 little beads. So yes, made these earrings. I was totally inspired by this big bead. I just knew that I had 2 of these in the mix, minus the one that John stole from me. And so I totally wanted to use that as an earring, and then just threw a couple of dangles on the bottom there to utilize some of those smaller beads. Then this one John made, and this one happens to be my personal favorite. He thinks that it's my favorite because he used 60% purple in it. He actually sat there and calculated it. But it's really just my favorite because I like the way it is spaced out with the wire wraps.
And I used 22 gauge pearl wire. And just, traditional wire wraps, and 2 jump rings, and a simple clasp. Yeah, simple clasp. So, I mean, and here's the best part about this particular one. Guess who it fits? He wasn't even measuring it on me or anything, but he must know my size. So yes, I get to keep this one, right? Yep.
Okay. And then the memory wire. So, these kind of mixes are fabulous for memory wire. This is also a Jon creation.
Yep, and I could see this going up to 5 or 6 strands. So it's more
Definitely.
like a cuff bracelet.
Totally.
Which there's more than enough beads left over for you to do
You
that.
could make a 50 wrap one with this. So, all of this jewelry took us about an hour to make. That's it. And so we purposely used different techniques. We used stringing, and we used wire working, and we used the elastic cord, and we used the memory wire. You can knot these. I didn't really have time, but
Yeah, I would say Griffin.
yeah,
knotting
using
cord.
some knotting cord and knot it would be super cool. I also would love to use some Irish wax linen and do some
Yeah,
knotting.
and the holes are big enough to use Irish Rex linen.
Yeah.
So,
These are all going to be kind of techniques that, this is the kind of stuff that I haven't really covered on my YouTube channel. And by bringing crystal in, okay, here I don't think you're going to be able to see it. No, you're just going to have to trust me that when I was making these earrings, my wire skills were not very good. I finally got, because it's been like almost 10 years since I've done very much working with wire. I will say my wrapped loops I did great with once I remembered how to do it. My simple loops, Crystal, I need help. Can you come teach me? Yeah, please. Because my simple loops were kind of sad. They're not super round. So, but, that's the kind of thing that we're going to start bringing in now. And so don't worry, my bead weavers. We are still going to keep doing tons and tons of bead weaving stuff. That's why I brought in a whole nother person so she can kind of concentrate on those techniques. I will still do some of those videos too, and I'll do some of those videos with her, some of them alone. But my main focus as we move forward is going to be the bead weaving. And then Crystal's going to be kind of some of those other techniques. And I cannot turn off her idea spigot. Y'all, every time I get on the phone with her, you heard us earlier today, she's just like, oh, and then we can do this. And so this morning she was talking about resin. And the other day, we were talking about doing patina on filigree stuff. And so you guys got a lot of learning coming. She exhausts me. I get a crystal wick hangover every time I get off the phone with her. It was kind of like that way with Jon too. He gives me a hangover too. You guys are controlled substances. Okay, let's see here. Michelle Sapansky says also Aslan for nodding. Michelle's my friend. She owns a bead store in New Jersey, and she's also an incredible Kumihimo artist. She has been teaching classes with Kumihimo and stuff, and I'm hoping at some point to get her to come down and travel down here and do some videos with us and share some of her Kumihimo skills. Yes, you guys are asking, why am I not using my one-step looper? I did do a video using the one-step looper, right? And I do carry it in my store. And
that would have been nice to know this morning.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I just moved, this warehouse, and I don't know where anything is. You should have seen me. I had to go pull crimps out of stock. I had to go pull clasps out of stock. These are things normally I have in my office where I have kind of a working area. I had to go find some soft flex to string the beads on. And so, yeah, it was kind of sad. I had to pull a bunch of stuff out of stock because my normal beading supplies are still in a box somewhere. Who knows? Okay, let's see here. Crystal, I said that you and Crystal were a controlled substance. Crystal says you guys aren't really controlled. Yeah. True. So yes, in the future, I will use the one-step looper. Let's see here. Checking out. Oh, good question. Can Jon update us what Preciosa is doing with their line of crystals, both in terms of shape and colors? I can actually answer that. Mm-hmm. I was speaking with the president and CEO of Harmon, which is a distributor who does a lot of business with Preciosa. She has been talking to Preciosa basically daily, and she said that they are, if Swarovski blew up a bomb for us, they really blew up a bomb on Preciosa too, because that was news to Preciosa that Swarovski was no longer going to be supplying the DIY market. So they are scrambling to figure out what, to catch up. Basically what their situation is right now is that hundreds, millions of suppliers all around the world are suddenly turning to them and going, hey, I need a full inventory of Preciosa all of a sudden. So they're having to work double hard with production to get the basic stuff in everybody's stores. However, they're also working on adding new shapes. One of the things that Preciosa doesn't have a lot of equivalency for with Swarovski is fancy shapes.
Mm-hmm.
So, the bigger stones, as bead weavers, we like to bezel them and put them in larger necklaces. They have a very limited supply in Preciosa of those. So they are working on making additional shapes. They're working on expanding their product lines in general. At this point, they're not really willing to say where those expansions are going to happen, like which lines it's going to happen in. I'll tell you that in the bicones, or just their basic colors, they've got 42, is it 42 or 44 basic colors? I think it might be 44 basic colors. So you can get those in just the plain colors, in AB, in AB2X, in matte AB. And so those mattes are really cool, actually. So they actually have some more options off their base colors, which is kind of interesting. They also do carry Rivolis, so we'll be getting some Rivolis in also. So I'm working on accumulating the entire line of Preciosa. It's honestly going to take me a little bit longer to get all of that stock in and get it all up on the website, but we're going to get transitioned over. In the meantime, I'm still buying Swarovski as much as I can, and I may have made some secret deals on getting some stock that is hard to get now. One other thing I wanted to address with the Preciosa is their pearls. I am purposely deciding not to bring in their pearls yet, because I've been told that they are going to make a significant quality upgrade this summer to their pearl line. So I am choosing to wait for the new line of the Preciosa pearls. But y'all, I get the most gorgeous check pearls from Jon. And so I carry this full lineup in 2, 3, 4, 6 millimeter. I carry every color that you carry.
Yeah.
How many is that? 42 colors.
And they're all coated 7 times, so the durability is pretty darn good.
Yeah, and I've had incredible success with them. And one of the reasons I went with Jon's check pearls, because there's other suppliers who offer check pearls. The reason I chose his was because yours are sorted before they get strung.
Yep.
So that means
we string all of our check glass pearls on fishing line, not leaving it on the colored thread.
Yeah, and so that means any ones that are wonky drilled, especially like in that 2 millimeter size. Yeah. If you've bought 2 millimeter check pearls from somebody else, oftentimes a good 5 of those are not usable because they are misdrilled somehow. So those have already been sorted out. So when you buy 50 of those 2 millimeter check pearls, you're getting 50 usable beads. And I thought that was really important because I'm a stickler for quality. So you don't even have to wait for the Preciosa. Go check out the check glass pearls that I have on my website. They are just as good as the Preciosa. It just that
the 2 millimeter size is a great substitute for the Swarovski 2 millimeter round in patterns.
Yes.
So that's and it's a lot less expensive than the Swarovski.
Yeah. And yes, they're opaque colors, but they're pearlescent, so they're gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, your color assortment is gorgeous. So that's kind of the update on the Preciosa situation. Let's see here. Let me see. I'm a memory wire addict. Me too, Margie. Will you be carrying spikes? Possibly. It's one of those things that it was a huge trend for a while, for a couple of years, and the trend has kind of died out. I still love the spikes. Mm-hmm. So I frequently have had them in the bead garage sales in the past, and there are certain designs I think that really lend themselves to the spikes. You know what else I love the spikes for? If you guys are in the Seed Beads and More group also, all those Julia Prettel boxes, the beaded boxes, these make really great little legs, little footers for those boxes. I saw a couple of people use the spikes as the footers for those boxes, and that's what I intend to do on my box. The one that I'm working on right now is use these little spikes for that. So I definitely can see, I'm probably not going to carry a huge assortment, but I can definitely see carrying, a good color grouping of them. And they also come in different sizes too. So that's the other thing. I believe
there's 3 sizes.
Yeah, because I know there's the itty bitty.
The baby spikes.
These are kind of like the medium, and then there's one bigger
20
one.
millimeter.
Yeah. Let's see here. Blues are for blondes. Dark-haired girls like purple. I don't know. I like the blues because, I got the eye thing going on. So the blues and the greens for the eyes. Yeah, so, let's see. What else? Takes me an hour to decide what colors to use. Funny you should say that. One of the things Crystal and I have been talking about is that we're going to be creating a line of designer blends of things. So we're going to sell sets. Crystal is a genius when it comes to putting colors together. And so we're going to be creating seed bead blends and Delica blends and crystal blends and pearl blends and all sorts of things so that we can help you put colors together that look really good. So, because I hear that a lot from people, is that that's where they kind of get stuck. And we've even talked about, okay, so we're going to do a seed bead blend, and then we're going to come and do, say, a check glass bead blend, and they're going to complement each other. So you get one of these and one of these, and now you've got a whole set of beads that go together from two different categories completely. So I'm excited. I'm really excited about that. Let's see here. Loopers. I'm scrolling up and down. Hey, let's see here. Yes, mom's popping in there as me. She says, website only. Yes, it's true. We do not have a retail store, and that's still true even though we moved into this new location. And from the front, it looks a little more retail based. But the truth of the matter is I've got so many beads that we have to use a bin system, meaning that they're stuck multiple levels deep in a bin, and it's just really not very shoppable. So that's why we have chosen not to open a retail store. Is I would rather have you guys have a broader selection of beads that you can buy online. And honestly, do you guys think if I let you guys come to the store that I would get a lick of work done? You guys would all be sitting there talking, and I'd want to talk to you, and nothing would ever happen. So I kind of have to hide away. Angie Ryman says Preciosa has beautiful bicones. I'm very pleased with their quality. We got those in.
Raina's saying hi. Hey, Raina.
Hey, Miss Raina. Yep, Raina was on the first Czech trip with us, and she's going to be on the next Czech trip, hopefully. Toby's working on a Julia Prettle box right now. So yeah. Oh, and then Shabani is watching also. So are you over in London, Shabani, in England? Shabani was on our first Czech tour also. So what have we not covered?
Just the
he brought
treasures if anybody is interested.
Yes. So he brought, along with show and tell, he brought some things that he's being willing to part with.
So whoever is interested in these, just text the live feed your name if you're interested.
Yeah, just make a
There's
comment.
only one of each, and Jill would send you a PayPal request and with the shipping.
Yep.
But this is about 100 years old. These are cabochons. They're not beads, but they're made lamp work, and this was the beads and cabochons that were sold to the Hubble Trading Post in the Southwest, and the American Indians used them for a period of time in their jewelry as turquoise.
So I think it's funny. That's funny because that to me means that some people out there think that they got turquoise because they bought it on an Indian reservation, and it's actually Czech glass that looks so much like the turquoise.
Or it also goes to show that the Czechs were the first, not the Chinese, to make imitation turquoise.
Good point.
So
Very
that was
good.
over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So that one's available for $50. And then I have, this one's 50 or 60 years old. It shows the Czech crystal in the 6, 8, 10, and 12 millimeters.
And let me just make a note that that's crystal and not fire polish.
Yeah.
So
that's actually the crystal with the AB plating, and it's got you've got peach, jonquil, peridot, aqua, and sapphire.
Sold.
This one is missing one bead.
Sold. I'm stealing it, you guys. The colors in that just are absolutely gorgeous.
And then this is one, again, 50 or 60 years old, of the Czech crystal. You can see down at the bottom it says made in Czechoslovakia, so pre the fall of communism. It goes through their 6 to 12 millimeter, and then it has the name of the colors in English at the top for the crystals they were making at that time in these particular sizes.
Yeah. And these are the kind of things that you cannot find as easily anymore. So, people have snapped them up over time. They used to, you two were telling me, you used to be able to go into the antique stores and find them.
Tons of them.
And you can't
again,
get
they're
them
all
anymore.
they're all $50 if anybody wants one. And this is the final one. This one just has different decors or coatings.
Decor is a word that they use?
Decor is what they call the coating.
Ah, okay,
So
with the K.
I believe it's German or Czech.
Okay, that makes sense because they were under German control for a long time. Yep.
So
okay.
Or like decoration.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So I feel a little bad that I'm going to steal that one card. So I'm going to donate to the cause. I actually think I bought this from Jon before, believe it or not. But yeah, so these are Czech buttons, and this is also going to be pre-World War II, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So these, you were telling me that like these numbers correspond to the coatings that are on top.
And then this number corresponds to the size. So this particular flower button they made in 4 sizes. The shell button, the same thing. But they basically were pressed out of jet glass, and then the different metallic coatings put on the top of the button. So the back of the button will be completely black. And these are things that are fun to put in a shadow box and hang on the wall above your bead table and just, have a piece of Czech history.
Okay, so the cab card is sold and the button card is sold. So what we still have, just as an FYI, and like we said, this is kind of there's only one of each of these, and this one's sold. and so once it's gone, that's it. So she wanted the crystal card under the buttons, and then I moved it. So Rosalinda, were you wanting the one with the reds, or were you wanting the full lineup? So I'll let you tell me which one it was that Rosalinda wanted. And Lori Wacker, whichever one Rosalinda doesn't want, that's what's left. So, and I know I'm on a little bit of a delay with seeing the comments pop up here, so I apologize. That's just part of the, because it's streaming live, and then it's streaming to my iPad here. This is what's really funny. Mom said, piped in, and she said she has a matching button from this button card.
So it must have fallen off.
It must have fallen off, and so she has it sitting on her desk at the office. So she says if she can find that on her desk, that's going to go with the button card for you, Bobby. Okay, so Rosalinda is taking the full card. So this is the only one that's left, is this one right here. So my red fans, where are ya? We are going to, I think that's going to be everything that we're covering today. The really cool thing is that I'm going to have Jon on over and over again. Oh, you know what? We didn't talk about the molds. Yes, so let me have, Brian is going to show you some pictures of the molds. And like I said, we're going to go more in depth on all of these topics, but one of the cool things, some of the people that you work with in the Czech Republic, it's the last the last guy who hand carves molds, right?
There's 2 of them left.
2 of them left in the Czech Republic.
So when you're making the mold in the Czech Republic, they make it, the machines are like $1.5 million US, and they come from Switzerland. And they basically make a master mold. And that master mold is made from, they make the bead in inverse, in wax. And then they have this stainless steel thing make the master mold, which then makes the regular molds. So from that master mold, when they make the regular mold, the amount of beads you get from a regular mold is about 60 kilograms, which is about 130 pounds. And then that mold is done.
Wow.
You can't make any more beads.
So they have
to so then they,
like the detail, right?
So they use that master mold to make the molds they used to press. So when you're pressing a bead, basically there's a top and a bottom that goes like this, and a metal steel rod goes through as the molten glass is coming into the mold. And on one of the next segments, when we do talk about molds again, I'll bring an actual sample of the mold so you can see one.
And I think I've got video from one of our trips of it actually happening, so we'll pop that video in and show you how it's made.
So typically for every press, if it's going to be a large bead, only one bead per time the mold is pressed. Some of the smaller beads, like the Super Duos or the 4mm rounds, there might be 4 or 5 beads. But that shows you the amount of labor that goes into making any of these pressed beads.
Yeah, so like when you're buying a large quantity of beads, okay, so just say that you're buying a package of 50 4mm beads. There had to be 11 different presses just to get those 50 beads that you bought, and think about that times the world, And
then if it was fire polished, they have to press them as round beads, and then they have to go into a cutting process on these machines that it's basically a big stone that spins around. They can cut maybe 60 or 70 beads at once because the stone probably weighs 200 pounds, but then it goes through that process, then the coating process, then the stringing or bagging process.
Yeah.
So each of these check glass beads is like almost a labor of love.
Definitely.
So,
and every single person who's went to these factories with us and got to see this whole process, every single person said, why are we not paying more money for these beads? Because when you see how much manual labor is involved and how many steps in making them, it gives you a whole different appreciation for the beads. I'm a sparkle girl. I've always loved the sparkle. But getting to see and understanding the process of how these beads are made and the history behind them has truly changed how I view every individual bead now. I rarely see a bead now that I think is ugly, because I can look at it and go, oh, look at the technical challenge in making that, My question is, so when these last 2 mold makers pass on, what happens?
Hopefully someone else, there's a cost of entry.
Yeah.
Maybe Preciosa starts their own mold making factory, or someone else gets the education.
Yeah.
So
we really have to cherish our check beads because they're continuation in the bead industry.
The same thing happened to the German glass industry about 30 years ago.
Really?
There's hardly anybody doing anything anymore in Germany with the glass.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
kind of scary. So that's why we really have to appreciate our check beads and cherish them. And so I'm so excited that you did this with me.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Let me make sure. Raina was mentioning watching the faceting process on the trip. It is honestly it would be a really terrible job. Because they're grinding the facets in, and so it has to use water. So they're standing there on a rubber mat all day long, getting wet because of the water and so their hands, I think
they have to push the
the lever.
Back and forth. I think it's 17 times
for each set, because there's that many facets on a bead, on a fire polished bead. So and they like really have it down to a science. I guess if you've done it a few million times, you got it. But exactly how long they press, because it needs to be the same every time. Like I said, it's a super fascinating thing. So hopefully they have people to teach, like a family tradition. I hope that some of the younger generation are going to start understanding how important that bead industry is, for sure. We have, I like your name, Michelle, Creative Soul Michelle. She wants that last red sample card. So after this is all over, I will get with you guys and send you the invoices, and we can get those shipped out to you on Monday. So you promise you're going to come back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll bring some other treasures and further educate.
Excellent.
So,
and
thank you for all the good questions. I can't think to cover everything, so the questions definitely do help.
Yeah.
See, we have a engaged group of people.
Yeah, and so if you have questions that you think about after this is over or whatever, you can email them to me, jill@jillwisemandesigns.com. We can cover them on a future video. Or, just you can continue, people who are not watching this live, continue leaving your questions in the comments, and I will make notes of those. And next time I get him in front of a camera,
we can have a list of questions already prepared.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah. Along with cherishing the Czech history and the Czech bead industry, there are very few people out there who have the kind of knowledge that you have too. And so, that overall knowledge and over a long period of time outside of the Czech Republic. So we are super lucky to have him to quiz and tell us how all of this has happened. Every time I talk to him, I learn something new.
Yeah. I've probably made about 80 trips in the last 23, 24 years.
Yeah.
And some of those trips I'd be over there for 3 weeks at the factories.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he's done business with these people so long, they're like family. And I've only been over there twice, and I already feel like several of them are family, That's one of the things that's so cool. Bead people all across the world, we recognize each other, and you become instant friends, and that's true in the bead behind the scenes, too. So it's very cool. Okay, so don't forget, we've got, I don't know, I haven't looked. Is there a bead history book? Oh, do we have bead history books for you? John was telling me that he has got, what did you say, 160?
1,600.
1,600. Oh, sorry, missed a zero.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's about 900 pounds of books. You can't put them in the trunk of your car and drive.
I suppose, though, you just want one book. So there is actually a really good book called The History of Beads. And I think there's a really big hardcover version, and then there's kind of a condensed...
and then there was also another book. It's by a British author. Came out in the late 90s on the history of beads. I think her last name was Jargstaff.
Okay. I'll see if I can find it, and I can post a link up to that.
But it's a paperback book, and I want to say it was the late 90s.
Okay, cool. But he's promised to, as we're talking about various aspects of the bead world, he's going to bring some of that down and show us highlights on those books, which I'm dying to get my hands on too. It's going to take us a while to go through all 1,600.
Yep. Give you something to do at night.
Yeah, give you the frequent flyer miles. Anyway, so again, I don't know how many of these mixes we have left because I haven't been on there, but hopefully we still have some of these left. Once they're gone, there's never going to be this mix again. You saw.
Yeah, and we do plan on doing another mix.
Yes.
So if there's certain shapes you guys would like to see in the mixes, post them on the Facebook.
Yeah, and color combos too.
That way it gives us a little bit more sense of direction and what people are interested in. And you say you would rather have all small beads, or you want to see more drops and daggers, or you want to see more round beads. Jill will make the color decision, and I will basically make the shape decision.
Cool. Okay.
So.
We are here to be your bead pushers. Bead enablers probably sounds better.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that is everything for this time. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I had a really good time with this.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm excited. So we will see you guys again soon. Mwah.